the ultimate glory. Few manage to keep their date with destiny. But for many, it's been heartbreaks and a cross to bear. The Holy Grail is here in India. I'm Rupha Ramani, and Firstpost brings you the ringside view. We bring you the Cup of Dreams. Cricket World Cup coverage like never before.
The champion! It's over! He's done it again! Unbelievable!
Oh, straight into the roof of the net.
Nice one.
Straight down the middle. So a good performance.
Hi and welcome to Firstpost. I'm Rupha Ramani. Let's get started. The weekend is almost here. It's been an action-packed week in India with the Cricket World Cup. It served as a reminder to never take any team for granted and never be complacent either. The next good or bad day is just around the corner. So today on the show, we have two interviews. The Indian cricket team will take on a side that hasn't lost a match till date and one who enjoy playing against India, particularly in the World Cups, New Zealand. We have an exclusive interview to set that match up for you. Also, squash is finally included in the Olympics in 2028. One man is especially happy about that. He was at the 141st IOC meeting when this was ratified. An interview with India's gold medalist who speaks about the journey and that of the sport itself. But before all that, let's take a look at what's making all the headlines in the world of sports in Sports 360. Starting with the World Cup, Virat Kohli was the top scorer in India's match against Bangladesh last night in Pune. He was instrumental in their successful run chase, scoring an unbeaten century. This was Kohli's 48th ODI ton. He's now one shot of equaling Sachin Tendulkar's record for the most ODI centuries. But some concerns for Team India as well. Hardik Pandya will miss India's next match against New Zealand in Dharamshala. He's injured his ankle during India's Bangladesh encounter. He didn't fly with his team to Dharamshala and will be headed to Bengaluru's NCA instead. On to football. Saudi Arabia is keen on hosting the 2035 Women's World Cup. The announcement was made by their women team's technical director. Earlier this month, the country had declared its bid to host the 2034 FIFA Men's World Cup. In Formula One, after sealing the Qatar Grand Prix, Max Verstappen is now eyeing to celebrate his 50th victory at the US Grand Prix in Austin. The Red Bull driver is aiming for a hat-trick of wins at this venue. The US Grand Prix will be held in sprint format at the Circuit of the Americas. And in tennis, Djokovic is all set to kick off his 2024 season. He'll be in action at the Mixed Teams United Cup. However, his arch-rival Rafael Nadal will not be part of the Spain team for the event. The United Cup will be held from 29th December to 7th January 2024. Right, the Indian cricket team will be facing off against the New Zealand side. This will be in picturesque Dharamshala. I'll be of course rushing to reach there and get you all the sights and sounds of that beautiful cricket venue. But let's set this clash up for you when it comes especially to World Cups. New Zealand has the advantage over India. In the 9 matches that the two teams have played in ODI World Cups, New Zealand has won on 5 occasions. India on 3, and of course 1 was no result. So this is a key matchup for the two sides. Both the teams are looking solid heading into this encounter. A few minor concerns regarding a few injuries or a few areas that are lacking for both the sides, but they will look to iron those out as the tournament nears halfway stage. Now, I spoke to former India cricketer and someone who's been a part of the BCCI's IPL Governing Council, Pragyan Ojha, to preview this mega clash for us. Pragyan Ojha, thank you so much for speaking to us here. It's a pleasure that you're joining us here on Firstpost.
Thank you, Rupa. Thank you for having me. And first of all, before we start, I'd like to congratulate each and every cricketer and all the boards because of the recent development. Cricket is going to be part of the LA 28 Olympics after almost 128 years. I think it's a great thing. Saying that, I think we're also in between the great World Cup, and I think everybody's looking forward to it.
We've got to speak about a team like New Zealand, who didn't really came into this tournament with a few niggles, concerns, a little jaded, a series loss. but somehow they've sort of turned things around. What do you think has impressed you most about the New Zealand outfit?
I think their mindset, their clarity. These are the two things which really helps you in important tournaments. If you see consistently New Zealand in ICC tournaments, they've done really well because it's like you can always say that it's kind of helping them, but at the same time, any team would like their supporters to come and support them. In New
Yes.
Zealand, cricket has not been the number one game.
Yeah.
Rugby is the number one
Yeah.
game, so I think the expectation also is little less. Maybe that pressure of expectation and there are a lot of things that add up to. So I think they play little with less fear
Yeah.
of losing. If you compare with teams like Sri Lanka, India, or Pakistan, the expectation that plays a big role whenever you're entering these kind of tournaments. If you see every day someone is writing about your team, someone is discussing about your strengths and weaknesses on social media or on visual or on print media, that really puts a lot of pressure. I think that is something which has been an added advantage for New Zealand. But saying that, their thought process, their clarity of the situation has been brilliant. If you see, unfortunately, I think Kane Williamson has fractured his finger. He may not be available. I think they have also got a replacement.
Yeah.
I think he's one of the most important player for New Zealand. But saying that they have not missed him, so that shows that they really understand things. They take sport the way it should be taken. Saying that every team has their own way of thinking about the game. Every team has their own understanding. So I think to their capability, they have done things according to it. So they have succeeded so far.
Yes, well put there again, but you covered the point about the captain as well. Have to ask you about their bowling unit. That has been, again, one of those key components. First, let's speak about their pace unit. In the absence of a Tim Southee, even Lockie missing a game or two, Matt Henry has stepped up alongside Trent Bolt. How crucial will that pace unit be when it comes up against the Indian batting lineup?
I think it will be very crucial. If you see Matt and if you see someone like Trent Bolt, they're very different bowlers. So far, I've seen Matt just trying to bowl those test match length, trying to hit those fourth or fifth stump where the batsman doesn't like initially when they come in. But someone like Trent Bolt, he tries to swing the ball, and his strength is we have seen. You know all this IPL we have been discussing. Every time sorry, not Tim, it is Trent Bolt.
Yes.
Every time Trent Bolt comes in, he looks to pick those wickets. He bowls those deliveries that pitches right up, and he tries to swing the ball. So I think they understand their strength. But I'm telling you, Mitchell Santner is someone I'm really looking forward to. He's a very smart cricketer. I've seen him bowl. If you remember, first game that they played against England in Narendra Modi Stadium, the wicket was very good, but the way he bowled, the pace that he was bowling at, and the variation that he was doing, he was outstanding. A bowler from New Zealand coming and getting used to the conditions here, because it's if you talk about the weather, it's totally different. So getting used to that and trying to do things according to the team's demand is something that shows that he's a very smart and thinking cricketer. So I think he will be very crucial. I know faster bowlers, they are good, but this guy will be very crucial, especially when you talk about Indian batters, because against left-hand spin, our batters have found it
Yeah.
little difficult.
Yes, and Mitchell Santner, this is pretty much his second home. He's played almost at all venues here with his IPL stint. A contest like Virat Kohli versus Mitchell Santner, how exciting is that going to be, Pragyan?
Absolutely, it'll be fun. But to reach Virat Kohli, he has to go through Rohit Sharma and Shubman Gill. So I think these three guys have to play really well against Mitchell. But saying that, it'll be a good contest because when you talk about these players, they are they've done really well over the years, but they are very good thinkers of the game.
Yeah.
So I think I'm looking forward to the contest because both the team are in a good flow. And when you talk about momentum, none of the top teams they would like to lose it, especially in a long tournament.
True. Yes, and we will of course come to the Indian bowlers and the New Zealand batters. But you did mention Rohit. Have to speak about the kind of form that he's in. There's something about World Cups and Rohit Sharma, Pragyan.
I think he's Rohit and Virat both have been there for so many years. They understand things. As I said, when you have played so much cricket, when you have done so much contribution to Indian side, when you play these kind of tournament, it is all about mentally how well you're placed. I think that what gives you those consistency. And if you see Rohit, he's been enjoying his time on the field and off the field. I think his family has been a great
Yeah,
support. Same way, if you see Virat also is in doing the similar ways. All these great players, if you see on the field, if you look at their body language, you can understand if they're in the right space or not.
right.
And then off the field, if you see, because we have access to social media, you can understand that what space they are in. So that is what I try and understand, because all these players, they have played so long,
Yeah.
they must be good at their job, what they do. Only thing which can create a difference is how well they are mentally, especially on that particular day. If you see that Rohit has been absolutely brilliant. We saw a different Rohit in T20 World Cup, and
Yes.
now in this 50-over format, he's totally different.
Right. And if you speak about the Indian bowlers, then how impressive has someone like Jasprit Bumrah been? Even despite, you know, encountering the flattest of tracks, he's really come up and sort of led the attack from a comeback.
I think this is one of the best bowling attack, I would say, if you talk about in the recent times. Bumrah is there, Siraj is there. If and to sum it up, I would say someone like Mohammad Shami is sitting out and is not getting a place to play.
Yeah.
That shows that this team is really really loaded with some quality bowlers. And I would also like to add, at some point, I would like to see someone like Mohammad Shami come into the mix, because he's one of the best bowlers. The way he bowls with those new balls, and especially in the death also, I feel he will find his place. But it all depends on what the team wants to do with the combination, because they're looking for a lower order batsman in Shardul Thakur. Or if
Right.
the wicket is little slow, they would like to have someone like Ashwin. So I think because of the combination is not getting his place, that says a volume about what this team is capable of.
The next question, obviously, is about the New Zealand batting side. We saw how Devon Conway has sort of stepped up and delivered at the top. What do you talk about taking charge there? Because we are missing someone like a Kane Williamson there.
Yeah, I think I rightly put. I think Conway is very, very important wicket. Other than when you talk about Rachin, Rachin has played brilliantly. Especially when you talk about the first game, but it was only because Conway gave him that confidence. So I feel Indian team should look to get someone like Conway at the earliest. After that, things may change, because the middle order, as you rightly said, the New Zealand side totally depends on Kane Williamson. Then the dynamics change,
Right.
because every team comes with a plan, and once you crack that plan as an opponent, then when they go to their plan B and plan C, that's when teams at times make some kind of mistake, and then the opponent capitalizes. But if you don't let the team move away from their A game,
Yeah.
they will always win. So the most important thing is, as a opponent, you would look to beat their A game so that they change their plan.
A word on Rachin Ravindra. How impressed have you been by that lad? Just came first match in a World Cup scenario and the way he's played and carried the team forward.
No, I think Rachin has been brilliant. As I said, it's not easy. Whatever may be the situation, how good may be the wicket, or you can have the best of the batsmen as your partner, but that temperament shows that he's made for this level, and I would say that it's just the beginning for him. If he really works on his bowling, he can be one of the best all-rounders, because I've
Oh,
seen he's got that little bit of left-arm spin in
yes.
him, but he needs to bowl more. that will help him improve because he's reached the highest stage here playing for his country. From here, I wouldn't say that he needs to change so many things, but if he consistently bowls a lot, so he will get the understanding. Because when you talk about game sense, he's got that. Without having a game sense, you cannot play Test cricket, you cannot play international cricket. So he's got that. Only thing that I would like to see as a fellow spinner, that he bowls more.
Right.
Only that will help him get that consistency, get that idea of understanding the opponent.
Right. I'm going to put you on the spot here. If you're looking at an India-New Zealand clash, which way would you see this match going, and what would be the one key differentiator for you?
I think for me it'll be India. Only no, it's not. You can anybody can say that I'm being emotional,
No.
but if you look at the momentum that Indian
Yeah.
team is carrying, it's been brilliant. The statements that they have been making, they're finishing games. Last two games, they have finished in 30, under 30, 35 overs. That is a big statement. And if you see, as a home team, if you have to tick boxes, you see your faster bowlers have done their job. If you see the spinners have done their job, if you see middle order is ready, Shreyas Iyer has delivered. Then if you talk about the openers, yes, unfortunately, Shubman was down with health issues,
Yeah.
but he's back and he should be ready to go. Rohit is doing really well, back-to-back big runs, and Virat obviously bigger the stage, better the performance he delivers. So I think that way, if you see all the boxes are ticked, it is all about being that little bit smarter than the opponent and. I personally feel yes, when you talk about the record against New Zealand, we have not been great in ICC events,
Yes.
but it's just one day and things change. So I think with the momentum going, I'm very sure that India will try to dominate New Zealand.
Yeah, you took the words out of my mouth regarding the head-to-head, but great, we won't get into that. Just one final question before we wrap up. A World Cup, we always talk about pacing yourself well in such a long tournament, and it's about doing well in the business end. Is that something that is going to be on the minds of all the teams that are really having hit the ground running without a loss?
I think the tricky part about long tournaments when you're playing 5, 6 games is not thinking about what is going to happen in the semifinals. It is about the present moment, present momentum, and how well your team is balanced. These are the things which are very important. If you think a little bit ahead of the what you need to think, then I think you're putting little more pressure on yourself. So you take the day as it is and plan for the next game. Once you do that consistently, the result will take care of itself. Especially when you talk about the longer tournaments, that's what I've seen great teams do in IPL and in World Cup. If you see, there is a pattern there. They don't think too much ahead. They think about the next game or maybe the game after the next.
Right, but thank you so much, Pragyan, for taking time out here and speaking to us. As always, a pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
There's one game that we want to talk about today. It's extremely popular across the world and is played in at least 185 countries. It's squash. Squash has a long history and is considered as one of the oldest racket games. It was played in schools in London in the 1800s, and by 1864, the Harrow School in London had built 4 courts for squash. After more than 170 years of the sport being invented, it has finally gotten the global spotlight that it truly deserves. Now, squash has been included as a medal sport in the 2028 Los Angeles Olympics. But do you know what the sport is about and how popular it really is? We know squash is a racket and ball sport. It is played either in the singles, doubles, or mixed doubles categories. The sport is played in a 4-walled court. The objective of the game is for players to hit the rubber ball in such a way that the opponent is unable to play or hit it back as a return. Each game is a race to 11 points. If the players are tied at 10, then the first player to get to 2 lead points with a difference of 2 is the one who wins. Squash is quite easy and fun to play, and spectator interest has grown over the years. In fact, squash has a major fan following. It's estimated that there are over 20 million fans of the sport. Some of the most well-known squash players include Rami Ashore, Joshna Chinappa, of course, Jonathan Power, and Amanda Sobi. And squash can be played as an individual event or as a team composition, as we've said. When it comes to some of the biggest showdowns in squash, the most recent example is when India and Pakistan played each other at the Asian Games. The two teams met twice at the Asian Games. Pakistan got the better of India in the first of the two encounters, and then the two teams were head-to-head for the final. The men in blue trumped Pakistan to win the gold in men's squash at the Asian Games, and what an electrifying atmosphere that particular match had. A victory that truly delighted fans and inspired millions of Indians. Now, squash has seen a steady rise in Asia. India, Malaysia, and Hong Kong are considered the powerhouses from this continent. The world is taking note of the popularity of squash, and the craze for the sport is growing in India and South Asia. With its inclusion in the Olympics in 2028, it's given Indian athletes another stage to prove their mettle. And we are excited to have more sports such as this being included at the Olympics. Even if so, for the very first time, and to shed more light on this, in our My Cup segment today, I'm privileged to be joined by sort of the voice of squash here in India, an Asian Games gold medalist, Saurav Ghosal. He's joining us from Kolkata. He also attended the IOC session recently. Saurav, it's a pleasure to have you here on Firstpost.
No, thank you very much. The pleasure is all mine. I'm glad to be here.
You know, the first thing I have to ask you, I know you attended the IOC session, the 141st session in Bombay. We were very envious. The who's who of the entire sporting world was gathered there. Tell us about it. How was it all? And whom did you love interacting with, for instance?
Yeah, firstly, it's a great honor for India to be hosting the IOC session. It's the first time after about 40 years that we are hosting it. It was, like you said, there was sporting royalty in terms of athletes as well as in terms of the administrators, from around the world. And it was, one of the first times that I've been part of a gathering like that in the capacity of me being chair of the Athletes Commission for Squash.
Yes.
In terms of who I loved interacting the most, I had a kind of ally a little bit in terms of Abhinav Bindra, who was there. He was presenting as well, and I know Abhinav from earlier, so it was great to kind of spend some time with him and pick his brains about a million things, because he's someone that I definitely value his opinion a lot, and it was great. But other than that, I think it was great to just understand the way an organization like the IOC works, the level of detail and what they go through in terms of the Summer Olympics, the Winter Olympics, and the Youth Olympic Games, and how the organization kind of dovetails with a lot of other different organizations and makes things work. It's like an economy in itself, and it was brilliant to see that and experience firsthand, the kind of intricate detail that needs to go into running an organization like that. So it's something that I will take with me always. And of course, it was brilliant that squash was an integral part of this session, and it turned out well for us.
Yes, that's my next question. In fact, obviously, personally invested in it, and I can understand where the emotions would come from. But if you could just sort of gather those very first reactions that you had at that moment when squash was announced as being included in the Olympics of 2028, how would you sum that up then for us, Saurav?
I mean, so we were obviously a part of a package of 5 sports, which
Yes.
LA28 proposed to the entire IOC membership, and they were voting on it. So once the vote started, you're like, okay, I think this should go through because the executive board has passed this, but you never know. And then when it does actually go through, it's weird, it's like winning a big title. You work so hard for so long, and you're so nervous before you play your match in the final, and then when you win, it's almost like you're blank. This like, oh yeah, this happened, great, brilliant. So it's the same kind of like feeling. Like you get you're in the Olympics. It's something that squash has tried for so long. Nicolo Campiani, the one who presented squash to the thing, actually mentioned as well that squash has always been the bridesmaid, but not actually the bride. And that's so true. We've been trying for so long, and getting in was huge. I think everyone around the squash world was unbelievably happy to be finally an Olympic sport. It's something that we've really treasured for a long, long time. We are deeply indebted and appreciative of the IOC and LA28 for giving us this kind of sort of vote of confidence of how our sport has done over the last decade or so. And we really hope that we can add some real value to the Olympics in 2028. And as athletes, I think we are so very excited to showcase to the world on the world's biggest stage, which is the Olympics, that what our sport is all about, and that we are one of the best athletes in the world, and we absolutely really looking forward to it.
Yes, speaking of adding value to that, we have to obviously ask you about, being there in 2028. We know all the athletes of this time in India have sort of redefined what fitness truly means. We see that across every discipline, squash as well. Have you thought about that? 2028, you're going to be there. You're going to make it there. It's possible, right? It's possible.
I mean, of course, I've thought about it.
Yeah.
I'd be lying if I didn't. I definitely wasn't thinking about 28 before before the 16th of October.
Yes.
But yeah, it's a decision that can't be made in haste. It's something that I will have to sit down with my team and my family, because some choices will have to be made, and those choices are going to be difficult for me personally, obviously, but also for everyone around me. And everyone around me who is going to play a part moving forward. If I have to do this, has to be on the same boat, pulling in the same direction to make this reality a possibility. And of course, if I do decide to do it, then it's going to be that I want to win a medal for India. I don't want to, being an Olympian is a huge honor. But for me, the commitment of 5 years can't be about just getting there. It has to be about first, obviously, getting there, but being in with a realistic shot of winning something. So that's something that I will have to look into. It might just be that, I do have that at the back of my mind, but I kind of take it, half a season, one season at a time, to kind of see how the body and the mind kind of progress and react to, the high levels that are required to produce at the world stage. And then, if everything goes well, hopefully 5 years will pass by in a jiffy, and we'll be in LA, and I'll be playing really well, and having a good shot at winning a medal. So that would be an absolute dream. Dreams do come true sometimes, so let's hope for the best.
Yes, why not? I mean, if you've seen India's Rohan Bopanna do it at 41, you're right here. I mean, who's to say nothing else is possible? But to speak about the Asian Games itself, we have to ask you about that final. And, I'm sure you've sort of relived that many times in your head and spoken about it quite a few times more. But just take us through that, because we were watching it and it was just electrifying.
Yeah, sometimes it's very difficult watching rather than playing. We knew that with the number 3 players playing first, that was a hard one to win. And personally for me, I knew I might be going in to my match being 1-0 down, and I was fine with that. It's been a thing that I've done in the past, so you can rerun that in your head and figure it out mentally. But then I didn't have the greatest start. And, when you're 1-0 down in the tie, and then you don't have the greatest start in the second one, even though, on ranking and things, I'm supposed to win, pressure can play a part, and then things can go all right. But, physically and mentally, I kind of felt okay, even at 4-love down in that first game. And then things started to click. And obviously, I kind of played pretty all right, and won that match 3-love. And it was good to win that match the way I did, because I think it calmed everyone down on the outside as well. If it's really close, then it becomes harder, and especially with Abhay coming in, play the decider. It's his first Asian Games. It's important to kind of give him that sense of serenity and calmness. And that's one of the things that we spoke about the night before as well. That when we are playing Pakistan, we need to take away the edge which already exists. We need to kind of detached from the emotion, and try and be as composed and calm on court as possible, because in my opinion, that's the best way that we've been able to beat them over the years. And for the most part, Abhay did his bit, did well, but obviously we were 10-8 down, match ball in the 5th, 1 point away from losing. And at that point in time, to be honest, it was like the night before, we had this team talk, and I said, winning and losing is not in our control. We can't control it entirely, but the effort that we put in as players, each one of us, that is entirely in our control. So even at 10-8 down, I think we had done everything we could to win that tie. So we could walk away incredibly proud of the effort that we had put in. Of course, we would be disappointed, But it just so happened that he pulled it back and won that 12-10, and everything else goes out of the window. You're just happy that you've won, and it's a big win. It's winning the team event at the Asian Games. It's one of the biggest team events there is, and to do it in the way we did, it was brilliant. Abhay doing it as well, his first Asian Games, it was unbelievable. And yeah, I think for me at that point in time, it was just like, um, yes, we did this. This is first half of my mission, which was to win 2 golds at the Asian Games, completed. I've done well to kind of mentor these guys and then get them to where I needed them to be.
So how was the team celebrations after that? I'm sure it would have been a very heartwarming, energy-packed sort of a celebration post the win.
I mean, it wasn't as big a celebration as we would have liked to have, because we had the mixed doubles and the singles starting the next day. So we kind of had to quickly turn our focus. But I think internally, every single one of us was very proud. I think even the girls' team, even though they lost in the semi-finals to Malaysia, I think they put up a really, really good fight and they did really well to kind of get through. So I think it was subdued considering the scale of the achievement. But I think all of us knew what we had achieved was something very special. And as a team, I think it'll always stay with us, with each and every one of us, both the boys and the girls, for the rest of our careers and our lives.
Yes, thanks, Saurav. I know you'd be cheering for the other Indian athletes, as would we, come Paris Olympics. But thanks for taking some time out and speaking to us here on Firstpost. And we wish you all the best as always.
Thank you very much, and thank you to everyone watching for all the love and support. It means a lot, and hopefully we will keep making you and the entire country proud moving forward. Thank you.
All right, that's all the time we have here on Firstpost, but enough time to bring you Last Serve, something that we give at the end of the show. Now, we spoke about the Women's Big Bash League yesterday, and today we're going to show you how exactly they kick-started the tournament. Take a look at how Meg Lanning and Alyssa Healy declared the tournament open, not from ground zero, but way up. Here, we of course will be going to Dharamshala, which is where you'll catch us next. But for now, thank you and bye-bye from the studio. See you in Dharamshala.